What's up YouTube, BigSweetC here with you. Got another special little video. It is time for my top 5 of 2019. If you guys don't remember, so last year I did it a little bit differently for 2018. I did a live stream of it on the podcast. Previous years to that, I made the little video. I'm going to go back to making the video of it, but we are going to change it up just a tad. So if you guys don't remember, I used to have 2 stipulations for the top 5. One, it had to be a game I played for the first time that year. And 2, I had to play it from start to finish. Well, looking at these games that we played this year, a lot of my favorites, actually we didn't play for the first time this year. Might have finished it for the first time this year, but we might not have finished it for the first time in this calendar year as well. So I've decided to kind of ixnay those 2 rules and just go with my top 5 of that year from now on. And the reason we're going to get into that in a second is because there are a couple of games that I really did enjoy, such as Sekiro, Neo, Grand Theft Auto 5, that if I had sat down and played them from start to finish, might have been the only game I played all year long. Like they're just Sekiro on one hand is not so much, but it would take some getting used to playing it. GTA 5 is just a humongous game, and it would have taken forever for me to play it all. So we've decided to kind of ixnay those rules, and I'm just gonna go with what I had the most fun playing of 2019. So, to begin, along those same lines as GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, baby. This was a game that I thoroughly enjoyed the single-player aspect for a little bit, and then I kind of stopped playing it, so I wasn't really going to consider this one. But then the online came out, and I consistently play this game pretty much every day now for at least the daily challenge. It is a fantastic game. It does have a bunch of little quirks that the same thing with GTA 5 or like Assassin's Creed or anything. It does have some little quirks to it that kind of drive me crazy a little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, being able to jump in with your friends into the old Wild West and just go at it. You never know when you're going to run into friendly players, angry players. You never really kind of know how these missions are going to go because you could be kicked off the online server for a fault on Rockstar's part. It does kind of add like a little excitement to it. And it's also kind of inspired me to go back in and play the single player. So at number 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. Moving on to the next one. This one we did play for the first time in 2019. We did finish it for the first time in 2019. Rise of the Tomb Raider. I have not played a Tomb Raider game since probably the first Tomb Raider game for PlayStation 1. And this was totally different. This is more like Assassin's Creed in the way that you play the game. You climb stuff, you've got bow and arrow, you've got guns you can use. Lara Croft is a straight bad mother, shut your mouth. She's got all these abilities. You get this extended like hatchet that you can use to like make these extended jumps and still grab stuff that you wouldn't have been able to normally jump to. It is a fantastic game, and I've gone back a little bit and actually played some of the post-game stuff because it is so fun. It also made me want to throw on Shadow of the Tomb Raider on my old Steam collection list. Even the first one, I believe Rise of the Tomb Raider is the second. But it's gotten me totally back into the Tomb Raider series. And I highly recommend it if you guys were a fan of the PlayStation version, or if you're just looking for a new franchise to play. Rise of the Tomb Raider was fantastic. Next up, a game that we kind of played before, but not really. The Resident Evil 2 remake. Now, I had played Resident Evil 2 long ago when it first came out. I believe I went all the way through, or maybe I stopped when we got into the Hive, because a lot of the almost end stuff, once we got into the Hive, I didn't recognize at all. So maybe I never really played through it the first time. But this one was super fun. The new graphics, the new game style of the Hitman kind of third-person shooter view made it so much smoother, so much more fun to play because it was a lot more interactive than I remember it being. If you guys have never played the PlayStation 1 version, a lot of it was running around and trying to get the exact spot you needed to collect an item. This one seems a lot more mobile in that aspect, but the look of the game totally changes everything. I can't imagine what Resident Evil 3 Remake is going to look like when you see Nemesis for the first time, because when everything happens in this game, it's just incredibly good looking. The crash of the helicopter, and I'm drawing a blank on what we call him, but the cop that's after you, it's the everything from down in the sewers up down into the base. The weapons are completely redesigned and everything. Just a fantastic game that we will have to use that excitement and take it into Resident Evil 3 Remake when that one comes out, because that is another one that I believe I started and never finished. So I'm really glad this Resident Evil 2 Remake came out, because it kind of gave me a reason to go back and revisit one that I didn't necessarily finish to begin with. And very top quality game by Capcom. They don't make many, but when they do, they knock them out of the park. Coming in at number 2. This one could arguably be my favorite from 2019, because it does meet all the rules and all the rules that I had once had onto this test, but it wasn't quite as special as number 1, which we'll get to in a second. But number 2 is The Outer Worlds by Obsidian. I was so happy when this game came out. The fact that Microsoft had bought Obsidian and released it with Xbox Game Pass for absolutely no money the day that it released was even more special, because this was the game that we all wanted Fallout 76 to be. Now, what I mean by that is, obviously it's not multiplayer like Fallout 76, but Fallout 76 had so much hype behind it. It was supposed to be Fallout but multiplayer, and there just wasn't anything in the game. There was just, there was nothing to do. There were no missions, none of that stuff when it first came out. And then here comes here comes Obsidian, a company that has worked with Bethesda before to make, in most people's opinion, the best Fallout game, New Vegas. And they come out and they just hit a home run with their own game. The Outer Worlds was so great. You wake up in this spaceship, and you and this whole colony have been frozen in time. That way you can make it to another planet, because Earth is on its last legs. It's about to be extinct. And you guys are the future of the human race. But you kind of get caught up in this, are they really gonna use us as the future of the human race, or are they keeping us frozen for a reason? Were we suspended in animation for a reason, or was it really an accident? And then you get into these different planets. You have this galactic empire almost that is using these like factories to kind of keep people almost enslaved, if you will. And then you have these freedom fighters that are looking to make their own worlds independent from this major corporation that you are technically working for, or were perhaps working for. Great story, great moral ambiguity that you were missing from Fallout 76 that you didn't really have in Fallout 4. It was pretty much New Vegas, and Fallout 3 were the last Fallout games that really had some sort of moral ambiguity to it. And the Outer Worlds just comes in and just blows it away. On top of that, the weapons are cool. You got these science weapons that do different things. You don't even need them for most of the game until you get to the very last part. And then if you don't know how to use them, it can kind of be rough to figure out how to use them. Just fantastic storytelling. A great RPG overall, open world RPG. And I can't wait to get back into that one, because that one we might also go for all the achievements as well. I think I've got probably 80% of them, so we might have to get back into the Outer Worlds. But at number 2, the Outer Worlds in my top 5 of 2019. Finally, we have our number 1 game, top number 1 from 2019, and this one I can tell you is more of a personal decision than it is anything. Zelda 2, Link's Awakening. They re-released it on the Nintendo Entertainment Emulator that you get with Nintendo Switch Online, and this was a game that, again, I had played a long time ago when it originally came out on Nintendo, but I never really got through it. It was not really one of those games that was a top priority for me, because we had the original Legend of Zelda, which I liked a lot more, and then I had a whole bunch of other games like Final Fantasy that I just, for whatever reason, didn't give Zelda 2 its accolades. Because on the surface, it actually looks like a pretty dumb game. You know, you have this RPG side-scrolling game that nothing really tells you what to do or where to go. You don't know what's going on. You have these castles that you're supposed to explore, but you have to like search for these castles in certain spots, and like it's very dependent on whether you talk to everybody in these towns you come through, and then even then you have to put the pieces together to find out what to do and where to go. And it was just, at the time, I was probably too young. At the time, I was probably not interested enough without some sort of player's guide to help me play through it. And it kind of got boring for me, you know. Going back and having played it with, you know, the ability to kind of comprehend stuff more at an older age, because I'm more familiar with video games. I also had the internet now, which is easily the world's greatest tool when it comes to finding out information. And it just gave it such a different experience this second time around. And it is one of those games that I actually would put a notch on my belt to say that I had completed, because I'm positive a majority of the people that probably played that back when it was originally released probably felt the same way I did. I don't know what's going on, not really interested in this because I can't figure any of this stuff out. So I'm just going to put it on the shelf and forget that I ever played it. And so going back and actually finishing this game, because it was an actual true achievement for me. There are still a few games out there that I had at once played and never finished. Master Blaster is one that comes to mind. That is also re-released on the Nintendo emulator as well. Maybe we'll get back to that guy. But Zelda 2 is like the one Zelda game that I, for whatever reason, never invested enough in to finish. And having gone back and finished it with you guys while streaming, it just makes it that much more special. And it is truly a fantastic game, and the game designers who came up with it definitely deserve mad props, because it is so different from anything in the Zelda franchise, but it still fits in that mold like perfectly. You know, it's a game about Link. It's not about Zelda, whereas every other game is about Link saving Zelda, but this is about Link. It's the only one that's like that, and I'm so glad that we went back and played it again, because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I am very, very happy with myself. I almost feel a sense of true accomplishment having gone back and played and finally finished this one. Super fun game. Highly recommend it, even though you can kind of cheese your way through the very last boss, but getting to it is 90% of the battle anyway. It's not one of those games where even if you know where to go, what to do, it's not one of those games that's just gonna let you do it. And you do get a certain sense of gratification from games like that. You guys know I love the Dark Souls franchise. Dark Souls is just like that. I'm trying my best to get into Tarkov. Tarkov is just like that. There's like this gigantic learning curve, and then you can know everything you want about it, but you still have to do it. You still have to go out and accomplish it. And Zelda 2, in my opinion, is really the one that kind of started those games. And they're some of my favorite now. So I am so happy that we went back and replayed this one. And so that is why it's my number one. More of a personal accomplishment feeling than anything. But that brings us to the culmination of my top 5 of 2019. Zelda 2, Link's Adventure at number 1. Just to repeat, we had Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider at number 4, Resident Evil 2 Remake at number 3, The Outer Worlds at number 2, and then our number 1, Zelda 2, Link's Adventure. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. Big Sweet C, that's me. Wishing YouTube, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. If you liked the list, hit that like button. If you didn't like the list, make a comment. Tell me which ones I'm up on and I missed. Let me know what your favorite of 2019 was, and tell me why I'm a fool for not thinking that was one of the best. Either way, sweetness, signing off. Peace.